Good morning. Our readings are taken from Rays of the One Light. These are weekly commentaries in the Bible and Bhagavad Gita by Swami Kriyananda. This week is Does God Hide the Truth? Truth is one and eternal. Realize oneness with it in your deathless self within. The following commentary is based on the teachings of Paramahansa Yogananda. In last week's reading, we saw that the great masters themselves counseled discretion in the dissemination of truth. The counter-argument is sometimes made, but the Lord doesn't hide. He reveals his beauty in the sunsets, his tender sympathy in the rain, his wrath in the thunder, his restless energy in the brooks, his power in the sunlight. There are exoteric truths, and there are also esoteric truths. There is that which is revealed impersonally and left up to us to interpret, such as the thunder and our perception of it as divine wrath, the rain and our perception of it as God's sympathy. But behind even God's most open expressions, there lies impenetrable mystery. The wind blows where it wills, said Jesus in chapter 3 of the Gospel of St. John. You hear the sound of it, but you do not know where it comes from or where it is going. So it is everyone who is born of the Spirit. And Sri Krishna says in the 9th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, by me the whole vast universe of things is spread abroad, by me the unmanifest. In me are all existences contained, not I in them. God's hidden reality cannot be understood by the reasoning faculty. India's Sankhya philosophy states frankly, Ishwar Ashida, God is not provable. A willingness to seek the underlying reality behind appearances is essential for those who would know God. Thus, through Holy Scripture, God has spoken to mankind. Oh.
As you may know, this week is the beginning of Spiritual Renewal Week at Ananda Village, and many of our Guru Bhais are down there, including a number of our ministers. I am Nayaswami Surendra. My partner today is Nayaswami Bharati, and we're delighted to be with you. One of the hallmarks of our human intelligence is our ability to reason. The more reasonable we are, the more successful we tend to be. But reason has a limited range of reliability. It's an intellectual process, analytical. And it doesn't do so well with questions like, what is this life all about? Or, why is it so hard to stay happy? In our Festival of Light, which we'll read a little bit later, we ask, who are we in reality? For what end were we made? And in other words, what is this game that God is asking us to play, and why is he doing it? Reason cannot answer these questions in any verifiable way. We want to know the mind of God, and we don't have the capacity to grasp that. We can talk about it, and we certainly do, but its depth is beyond the reach of our comprehension. In our reading this morning, there was the question, does God hide the truth? If we rely on reason alone, we have to say, yeah, it looks like he hides a lot. But we also know that Jesus said, that it would be a mistake to cast our pearls before swine, because to disclose a higher truth to someone who is not ready to receive it and hear it would be a mistake. They wouldn't be able to understand and to essentially act upon that knowledge in a way that would be beneficial. On the other hand, we have the testimony of hundreds of saints and ascended masters who throughout history have revealed to us the truths that reason simply leaves unresolved. Ultimately, it becomes a matter of where you put your faith. Do you put your faith in someone who is basing their knowledge, their information on physical evidence alone, or on the revelations of those who come from actual experience that reason cannot explain and cannot explain away? I'm sure that most of us here, and hopefully all of us, would rely on those revelations more so. That we would put our faith in people like these 5 gentlemen behind me, avatars who have risen to the summit of self-realization. But saying that, I think we also have to acknowledge that this world is a pretty strange place to have landed, isn't it? Just consider, for example, the content of most of the daily news. Negative, violent, not very appealing. And what about all those egoic desires we have that complicate our ability to live in peace and in joy? If there is a way out of this mess, and thankfully there is, we have to realize that the world itself doesn't give us a lot of help in our efforts. What we have here is a treasure hunt. And most people don't even know what the treasure is. They think it's something outside themselves. And they rely largely on their emotions to tell them what it is that they want. And what they want, if they manage to get it, they soon find out, as we all have, that its flavor doesn't last very long. And so we start the whole process over again and over and over. It's tedious, and it really just doesn't get us where we want to go. Now, admittedly, reading the clues that lead to life's real treasure are not always very difficult to grasp or to discover. And that's because our society, with its largely Western influence, it's presenting us with values and goals that are shallow and short-sighted. And thus people are led astray from what truly matters and what would give them that happiness now and forever. Years ago, there was a popular TV show called Mission Impossible. It has since inspired a number of truly impossible Tom Cruise movies. But in the earlier TV version, before the advent of computerized special effects, the stories were almost, well, you wanted to believe them. They were kind of fun. And the opening scene was always much the same. A telephone would ring in a phone booth in some remote location, and Special Agent Jim Phelps was there to answer it and receive his assignment. And a voice on the other end of the line would say, "Your mission, Jim, if you choose to accept it, is," and then it would go on to describe whatever Jim had to do in the next 60 minutes between commercials to save the world from some fiendish plot. It was all suspenseful and very cool and a lot of fun. But in today's reality, the assignment for us is not so easily scripted. We have to answer that phone every day. And here's the instruction we receive. Your mission, dear one, is to figure out what the treasure is, to find it, and to secure it for yourself. It's highly probable that since you are now in a quest for truth, instead of just people's approval and entertainment, that many will try to shoot you down. And by the way, there is no option here. This is your assignment, like it or not. Now, you can choose to put it off for as long as you choose, but you will discover at the end of your life that even death is no escape hatch. You have to return again and again until you finish the job. So here we are. The good news is each of us has been around long enough to know that the weirdness of this world has become quite natural to us. But the bad news is because it seems natural, we tend to gravitate toward its many distractions. TV, the internet, shopping malls, entertainment of all kinds. And that's okay. It's just not getting us where we really want to go. Another TV show, I'll go back a little further on this one. I don't know if any of you remember. But in the 1950s, there was a wacky game show called Beat the Clock. And when I was a kid, it was absolutely one of my favorite shows. A contestant would have to race against time, a race against the clock, to accomplish a number of very silly maneuvers in order to win a prize. It might be something like balancing a bowl of eggs on your head while climbing a ladder in order to ring a bell, or run through some sort of obstacle course with hoops and hurdles wearing big floppy clown feet, just something silly like that. Well, I spent most of my adult career in the advertising world, and looking back on those decades, it occurs to me that a lot of what we do every day is just about as silly. And the only difference is we take it so seriously now, don't we? We really do. Some days we win a little prize, and other days that bowl of eggs on our head comes crashing to the floor. And in either case, the stresses that we experience along the way, we look for ways to unwind, don't we? And many of those ways are some sort of sensory or emotional pleasure. And again, this is perfectly understandable. I certainly do it as well. But the trouble is, none of that escapism is going to free us. And that's really what the quest is here, the quest for that treasure. Until we go into the silence, into the soul, into the experience of who we truly are. It's as if we're strapped into a roller coaster car that's going around and around, up and down, and there we are on a wild ride, experiencing, its sudden swerves and its plunges. When you witness the world objectively, the constant repetition of that roller coaster behavior hardly supports the claim that we are this planet's most intelligent species. Nor does it lead to the treasure that we are meant to find. The real mystery here is not whether God hides the truth. It's why people spend so much time and effort trying to ignore it. We've become conformists. And conformity for its own sake is just spinning your wheels. It's counterproductive to simply do what everybody else is doing because they're doing and because they might be trying to shoot us down if we don't do it along with them. But it does not take us in the direction of the treasure, of that which awaits us as that which is our destiny, true bliss, self-realization. Much of what I appreciate about Ananda is the much less conformity and roller coaster behavior that is going on with us. And I am truly grateful to have the surrounding of that support. And I hope that you experience that and appreciate it as well, because it puts us on a path that is more positive, more progressive, and more productive in every way. This world will undoubtedly remain weird and strange in many ways. But Ananda offers the antidote to its mistaken ideals and to the mistaken guidance that our society tends to put before us. We know where the truth lies. God has not hidden it from us. It's right here in the heart. And it's in plain view. I'd like to close with just a couple of very short pieces from a little book that's actually put out by SRF. It's called A Spiritual Diary. I don't know if we even have it here, but it's just a thought for each day, an inspiration. And today, August 7th, from the sayings of Paramahansa Yogananda, there is this that ties in very nicely to this discussion. The Lord knows the course of our thoughts. He does not reveal himself to us until we have surrendered to him our last worldly desires, until each of us says, Father, guide me and possess me. And then just a few days earlier, there was this reading from Metaphysical Meditations. Dear Father, whatever conditions confront me, I know that they represent the next step in my unfoldment. I will welcome all tests because I know that within me is the intelligence to understand and the power to overcome. I'd now like to take this opportunity to invite Rose to come forward. And I believe she will tell you why.